The courtroom's fluorescent ceiling lights emitted a stark, unforgiving glow, their cold reflection glinting off Elena Ramsey's taut face as she sat rigidly in the defendant's chair. The evidence against her was seamless. Security cameras had recorded her presence at the crime scene at the exact moment of the offense. Her fingerprints were found on the murder weapon, and a witness testified to seeing her near Nathan Brooks's apartment on the night he was killed. Layer upon layer of incriminating evidence formed an unassailable case, leaving no room for doubt. Elena knew she had never stepped foot in that apartment on that tragic night, but the trial disregarded her claims. Inspector Victor Langley stood sternly on the prosecution's side, his expression cold and unyielding, overseeing the case and repeatedly asserting to the media that the evidence against Elena was incontrovertible. The proceedings unfolded with alarming speed and precision, as if every detail had been carefully orchestrated. In the spectators section, Lucas Bennett, Elena's former colleague, sat motionless, his sharp eyes expressionless, though a turbulent storm simmered beneath his composed exterior. He couldn't fathom Elena as a murderer. She was among the most exceptional officers he'd ever worked with, a woman who pursued justice with both intellect and heart. Abruptly, a loud bark reverberated through the courtroom. All eyes turned to Max, Elena's dog, being led out by an officer. Max resisted fiercely, his body stiff, growling with intensity, his front paws scraping against the tiled floor. His gaze locked onto Elena, struggling with all his might. Additional officers joined to drag Max out, but he thrashed, whining sharply, his eyes never leaving Elena, as if desperate to remain by her side. Elena cast one final glance at Max as she was escorted away, a dull ache flaring in her chest. She wasn't afraid of death. She feared the truth would be buried forever. After the trial, with Elena incarcerated, Max was reassigned to another unit. The officers there quickly noticed his unusual behavior. Once a rigorously trained and disciplined dog, Max was now entirely distracted, ignoring every command from his trainer. He no longer responded with the sharpness he once displayed, refused to eat, and lay in a corner of the kennel, his eyes fixed on the door, waiting for someone. During training sessions, he showed no interest in exercises he had previously excelled at. Reports soon emerged that Max was unfit for duty. Some officers suggested transferring him to a training center for reconditioning or even retiring him. When this news reached Lucas Bennett, he immediately offered to adopt Max. One late afternoon, Lucas visited the training facility. Max lay still, unmoving, as Lucas crouched beside him, gently placing a hand on the dog's head. "You remember Elena, don't you?" he said softly. The words seemed to pierce Max's haze, prompting a sudden whimper as he bolted toward the door, scratching frantically as if desperate to search for something. A trainer nearby shook his head. "He's been like this since he arrived. Every time he hears Ramsey, he reacts this way." Lucas had seen many dogs loyal to their handlers, but his instincts told him Max's behavior was more than mere longing. It was something deeper, more profound. Max wasn't just grieving. He was waiting for Elena, as if certain she would return. Since adopting Max, Lucas had hoped to help him stabilize after the trauma of losing Elena, but it proved impossible. Max rejected all basic training commands he had once followed flawlessly and began refusing food. Initially, Lucas thought Max might just need time to adjust, but when the food bowl remained untouched for 2 days straight, with Max sitting in a corner staring blankly at the door, Lucas knew something was gravely wrong. Each time he approached, Max emitted a soft whine, then lowered his head to the floor, as if trying to convey something he couldn't express. Lucas tried everything, offering Max's favorite beef, taking him outside to run, but nothing changed. The situation escalated one night when Max suddenly growled in the darkness. Lucas woke with a start at midnight, hearing the deep, resonant growl from the living room. He grabbed the gun from his bedside table and moved cautiously outside, where faint streetlight filtered through the curtains, casting a dim glow on Max's sleek black coat. Max stood rigid, eyes fixed on the front door, his back slightly arched, ears upright in complete alertness. Lucas held his breath, gripping the gun tightly, and quietly pulled back the curtain to peer outside. But there was nothing. The street was silent, no shadows lurking in the dark. Yet Max remained tense, one paw slightly lifted, a sign of heightened vigilance. Lucas could feel the tension in the air. Though he saw nothing, Max had sensed something beyond human perception. Deciding he couldn't ignore it, Lucas said, "Let's go for a walk, buddy. Looks like you've got something to tell me." He grabbed the leash and clipped it onto Max's collar. At the sound of the clasp, Max sprang up, no longer sluggish, tugging urgently toward the door as if he had been waiting for this moment. Nightfall cloaked the city in a quiet, inky blackness, broken only by the faint glow of streetlights spilling onto the wet pavement. Lucas walked behind Max, but soon realized he wasn't leading. Max was guiding him. As they left the neighborhood, Max quickened his pace, pulling the leash with strong, determined strides, his nose incessantly sniffing the air. He wasn't wandering aimlessly. He was following a scent. "Max, slow down," Lucas muttered under his breath, tugging gently on the leash. But Max paid no heed, his body taut, tail straight, ears erect, completely focused on something ahead. Then Lucas realized their destination, a narrow alley near the crime scene of Nathan Brooks, the man Elena was accused of murdering. His heart pounded. This wasn't a coincidence. Elena had been convicted of killing Brooks right here, and now Max was leading him back. Stepping into the dim alley, Lucas turned on his flashlight, scanning for anything unusual: scattered trash, old wooden crates, broken shards of glass from shattered bottles. Nothing that stood out. But as Max began scratching at the cement floor near a wall at the alley's end, Lucas noticed something peculiar under the light. Bending down, he picked up a piece of material with the color and texture of skin. A chill ran down his spine. It was disturbingly soft, smooth, with a slight elasticity, feeling uncannily like human skin. He inhaled sharply, unease creeping into his chest. It couldn't be real skin, but it was too lifelike, a smooth yet pliable biopolymer. He quickly gathered it for further investigation, but a deeper fear wormed into his thoughts. If this was evidence, it suggested Elena was being framed. Max's gaze remained fixed on the spot, as if something else was hidden beneath. Lucas tried digging with his hands, but found no other clues. With a sigh, he clutched the material tightly and pulled Max out of the alley. While awaiting analysis results for the strange material, another piece of grim news arrived. Another murder, this time of Walter Grayson, a prominent businessman. Lucas sat at his desk, the dim light from his lamp casting faint shadows on the stack of files before him. A photo of Grayson's crime scene lay beside Brooks's case file. His eyes narrowed as he meticulously analyzed every detail. Everything was eerily similar, from the angle of the shot to the body's position and the crime scene's arrangement. This wasn't the work of a simple murderer. It bore a signature, a deliberate mark. Was it coincidence, or a calculated pattern? Lucas pressed his hand against his temple, feeling an invisible weight bearing down. The police had swiftly charged Elena in Brooks's case, and now, as he worked to prove her innocence, another murder occurred in the same manner. It couldn't be chance. Someone was orchestrating this, or the killer was still at large. Max, lying near the desk, was no longer relaxed, his ears perked, eyes tracking Lucas closely. Suddenly, Max moved, sniffing the photos intently and emitting a low growl. He nudged a close-up of Grayson's crime scene. Lucas frowned, bending down to follow Max's gaze. At first, the upscale apartment seemed unnervingly tidy, with Grayson's body lying motionless in the center. But as Lucas looked closer, something caught his eye. A small, nearly invisible symbol on the wall behind Grayson, a faint triangle with a line cutting through it, as if intentionally wiped away but still discernible under light. Lucas grabbed Brooks's crime scene photo for comparison, his heart racing as he noticed the same anomaly. The exact same symbol on the wall in Brooks's apartment, faint but unmistakable. A shiver ran down his spine. This was no coincidence. It was a message. Max let out a soft bark, as if confirming his discovery, scratching lightly at the desk's edge, urging Lucas to realize they were dealing with something far larger. Grayson wasn't just a businessman. He had wealth, political connections, and prior business with Brooks. The critical question remained: who benefited from their deaths? Lucas searched police databases for the symbol, but found no matches, deepening his certainty that it wasn't a common criminal mark, perhaps an identifier of a group or organization unknown to law enforcement. He contacted Noah Sullivan, an independent investigative journalist who specialized in mysteries the police couldn't touch. Meeting in a small cafe nestled in the Old District, Noah, once a top reporter, now worked in the shadows after a near-fatal investigation into police corruption. As Lucas sat, Noah pointed to an open file on his laptop, his voice low. "We were right. Brooks wasn't just a businessman. He had ties to Shadow Fong, a professional assassin organization operating in the shadows." Lucas skimmed the documents, revealing Brooks's shady financial transactions with unknown entities, one matching data on Grayson. The murders weren't coincidences. "We're dealing with something much bigger than a wrongful conviction," Lucas muttered, his expression darkening. Noah opened another file, displaying images. "The symbol you found isn't random. It's part of Shadow Fong's encryption system, marking their targeted hits to send a message." Lucas squinted at images of global assassinations, all bearing similar marks on walls, floors, or objects near victims. "Damn it," he muttered. "These murders are part of a deliberate chain, and they want someone to know." Noah nodded. "But why leave such blatant symbols? Shadow Fong operates tracelessly." Lucas fell silent, his gaze fixed on the images. If Shadow Fong wanted secrecy, they wouldn't leave these marks, and the police's failure to acknowledge them suggested complicity. "The department never mentioned the symbol," Lucas said. Noah's eyes narrowed. "Someone in the police is turning a blind eye, or worse, working for Shadow Fong." Examining the material Max found, Noah noted its uncanny softness, unlike any plastic or silicone. Analysis revealed it was an advanced biopolymer, mimicking human skin's texture and temperature, programmable to adapt to body heat, making it undetectable as a mask. This explained the security footage, a perfect replica of Elena, not her. But the fingerprints on the weapon implied someone close to her had access to forge them, sending a chill through Lucas and Noah. Back home, Lucas found an envelope in his mailbox. No sender, just a note. "Stop now while you still can, or your dog will be the first to die." Max sat faithfully at his feet, unharmed but alert, his black fur gleaming under early sunlight. Then, news arrived. Elena's execution was expedited to within 10 days, with no explanation, cutting short her appeal process. Lucas tossed the letter onto the table, his eyes darkening. Someone was manipulating the system to silence Elena and bury the case. During a walk, Max led him back to the alley, unearthing a black leather glove with dried blood. Forensics confirmed the blood belonged to Malcolm Reed, a hitman linked to Shadow Fong, placing him at Brooks's murder and proving Elena was framed. Lucas presented the evidence to Langley, whose unreadable expression and vague, "I'll look into it," raised suspicions. Unbeknownst to Lucas, Langley burned the file, a loyal puppet of Shadow Fong, manipulating evidence to frame Elena and protect the organization's secrets. Brooks and Grayson, former Shadow Fong associates, were eliminated, and Langley ensured their executions remained hidden. Lucas, sensing betrayal, confided in Noah, who warned of the danger. As they uncovered Deputy Chief Dominic Pierce's role leading Shadow Fong's network, backed by offshore accounts and shady deals, Lucas realized the conspiracy's vast scope. Max, wounded but resolute after a chase with Shadow Fong's operatives, remained by Lucas's side, their fight for Elena's justice plunging them deeper into a deadly web of corruption and assassination. Detective Victor Langley, the orchestrator of Elena Ramsey's case, had meticulously ensured the evidence against her appeared indisputable, sealing her fate with no apparent flaws. He was the one who stood before the media, declaring the case airtight, and now, his name surfaced among those receiving payments from Shadow Fong, the shadowy assassin organization. A surge of fury coursed through Lucas Bennett as he recalled handing Langley the blood-stained glove, believing it would force the case to be reopened. But Langley, loyal to Deputy Chief Dominic Pierce, had likely destroyed it to protect the conspiracy. Noah Sullivan slid a forensic report across the table, his voice grave. "There's something Langley doesn't know. We still have a piece of the glove." Lucas's eyes locked onto the report. Before submitting the glove, he had discreetly cut off a small section and sent it to an independent lab. The results confirmed his suspicions. The blood belonged to a fugitive murderer tied to Shadow Fong, not only proving Elena was framed, but also offering a critical link to expose the entire corrupt network. Lucas exhaled deeply, his grip tightening until his knuckles whitened. Langley thinks he's erased all traces, but he doesn't know we have this. Noah met his gaze, a flicker of caution in his eyes. "What's your next move?" Lucas didn't respond immediately, turning to Max, Elena's loyal K9, lying calmly nearby, its sharp eyes tracking every movement. Unconsciously, Lucas recalled Max's pivotal role, leading them to the alley where they found the biopolymer mask fragment, uncovering the bloodied glove, and saving him from Shadow Fong's pursuers. Without Max, they'd likely have been eliminated long ago. Max wasn't just a dog, he was a vital teammate. A strategy formed in Lucas's mind. Langley, believing the evidence destroyed, would grow careless, a vulnerability Lucas could exploit. He stood, clutching the forensic report, his voice resolute. "We won't confront Pierce directly. He's too cunning for a simple trap. But Langley's a pawn, and he doesn't know he's exposed. If we corner him, he'll slip up." Leaving his makeshift office, Lucas felt a heavy unease settle over him. Days of chasing leads to clear Elena's name had yielded fragmented clues, and with her execution looming, time was running out. Then, a bombshell struck. Another assassination, this time a prominent senator known for anti-corruption crusades. What silenced Lucas was the evidence pointing to him. Security footage placing him at the scene, his fingerprints on the murder weapon, and a witness claiming he fled the area. It mirrored Elena's setup exactly, revealing a coordinated hunt orchestrated by an unseen hand. As police stormed his home, Lucas fled through the back door, Max at his side, eyes alert. Police SUVs blocked the street, headlights sweeping, armed agents cutting off escapes. Lucas whistled sharply, a signal from years of perilous missions. Max darted to a low wall, leapt up, and looked back, urging Lucas to follow. Gripping the wall, Lucas climbed over, landing beside Max, who was poised for the next move. They sprinted into a dark alley, police footsteps echoing behind. Running through the city with the entire force on his tail was grueling, but Max's uncanny instincts gave Lucas an edge, sensing danger before it struck. Gasping for breath, Lucas knew aimless flight wouldn't suffice. He needed a safe haven to regroup. As he pondered, Max halted, ears perked, nose sniffing the air. "What's up, boy?" Lucas whispered. Without answering, Max bolted in a new direction. Trusting the dog's instincts, Lucas followed, weaving through alleys and past deserted lots until they reached an abandoned warehouse. Max barked softly, scratching at the rusty door, signaling this was their destination. Lucas pushed the creaking door open, the air thick with the stench of engine oil, burning plastic, and chemicals. Dim light from ceiling cracks revealed sprawling equipment, and in the center, a chilling sight. High-tech machinery with biological masks on a metal table. Lucas approached, heart pounding. The masks were eerily lifelike, each wrinkle and contour perfect. His blood ran cold when he saw one bearing his own face. This was how Shadow Fong framed Elena, and now him. Max growled, snapping Lucas's attention to a dark corner. A faint footstep sounded, barely audible. Drawing his gun, Lucas aimed into the shadows. "Come out, or I shoot," he barked. Silence followed. Then a shadow slipped toward the back door. Lucas fired a warning shot, the bullet striking the wall inches from the figure, who stopped and raised his hands. Turning, the man in a hoodie smirked, half his face lit. "You shouldn't have come here, Bennett," he sneered. Before Lucas could react, the man tossed a smoke grenade, white clouds engulfing the room. As he fled, Max lunged, but Lucas held him back. The man escaped, but the masks remained, undeniable proof. Kneeling beside Max, Lucas murmured, "You saved me again, old friend." The fight wasn't over. If Shadow Fong crafted these masks to frame him, worse was coming. But with Max, he wasn't alone. Meanwhile, inside prison walls, Elena waged her own battle. In her dim cell, the harsh bulb cast wavering shadows across the bars, the air heavy with mold, rust, and sweat. Time blurred, restless, nightmare-plagued sleep alternating with waking hours haunted by injustice. Elena had devoted her life to the system, only to be betrayed by it, framed with flawless evidence. She wasn't afraid of death, but of the truth dying with her. Yet one unwavering ally remained. Max, closing her eyes, she gripped the tattered blanket, picturing Max's desperate barks as he was dragged from the courtroom. He knew she was innocent, and that pained her most. Where was he now? Cared for, or caged somewhere alone? Max wasn't just a dog. He was her warrior, her companion. She recalled training him as a pup, his bright eyes and fierce loyalty. The day he aced his first evidence search, she'd hugged him, his wagging tail nearly toppling her coffee. Now, who would praise him? The thought of Max abandoned, confused, or worse, made her want to scream. "It can't end like this," she whispered. She didn't believe Max was forsaken, but she feared those behind her case wouldn't spare him. They knew he was her link to the truth. If they could eliminate her, would they let Max live? Her heart twisted at the image of Max caged, his golden eyes staring out, waiting for her. She couldn't let that happen. She had to fight, no matter the odds, to survive for Max, to ensure he wasn't left alone. Taking a deep breath, she steeled herself. As a cop, she'd learned there was always a loophole, a way to turn the tables. Max was out there, fighting for her, and for him, she wouldn't surrender. The cell's darkness was oppressive, swallowing the faint hallway light. Elena lay on the cold metal bed, eyes fixed on the cracked ceiling, counting days and hours in confinement. She'd once trusted the system, believing it would never betray someone like her. Now, framed for a crime she didn't commit, she saw the truth mattered less than what the powerful dictated. Endless nights in the cell were a nightmare. No allies, no one to hear her defense. But Max haunted her thoughts. Her canine, her unwavering companion. Was he cared for, or locked away, lonely like her? She recalled their missions, Max warning her of danger with a glance. If he were here, he'd be barking, guarding her fiercely. That thought sharpened her resolve. The cell door creaked open, a guard sliding in a food tray, cold soup, stale bread, a plastic cup of water. She'd long stopped caring about the taste, but today, an unease like Max's instincts stopped her. Staring at the soup, she hesitated, exhaustion urging her to eat to stay strong. As she lifted the spoon, a voice interrupted. Not eating. Clara, from the next bed, eyed the tray. Elena shrugged, setting the spoon down. Not hungry. Clara's eyes narrowed, then she grabbed the tray. I'll take it then. Gulping the soup and chewing the bread, she acted ravenous. Minutes later, she coughed lightly, then violently, doubling over, clutching her throat. Her face paled, eyes wide with terror, breaths labored. She collapsed, frothing, convulsing. Elena froze, heart racing, staring at the spilled food. Someone had tried to kill her. Guards rushed in, one checking Clara's pulse, then glaring at Elena. What's going on? He demanded coldly. Elena eyed the tray, a chill gripping her. It should have been me, she thought, steadying herself. She took my food. Then this, she said firmly. The guard glanced at the others, signaling for medics to remove Clara's body. Dread filled Elena. This wasn't an accident. Someone, Pierce, Langley, or both, wanted her dead before she could prove her innocence. And Max, if they targeted her, would they spare him? The thought ignited her fury. Max had saved her again, indirectly, by making her hesitate. Clenching her fists, she vowed they wouldn't get another chance. Through the bars, she stared down the endless hallway, whispering, I won't let them win. In his dimly lit office, Victor Langley sat motionless, flipping through the fabricated Elena Ramsey case file. Every word, every image his creation. But the plan was unraveling. His phone vibrated, Pierce's name on the screen. Bracing himself, Langley answered. The situation's bad, Pierce's low voice said. Ramsey's alive, and Bennett's found something that could ruin us. Langley's pulse quickened. What evidence? A biological mass printer, Pierce growled. He found where they're made. If he links it to the murders, we're done. Langley's heart raced. Exposure would destroy them both, revealing years of covering Shadow Fong's tracks. What do we do? He asked, voice dry. Clean it up, Pierce said coldly. Ramsey dies immediately. Langley gripped the phone, knuckles white. He'd always known Elena's elimination was inevitable, but not this soon. The plan was to let her case fade in prison, then stage a death. Now, Pierce's patience was gone. I've tried twice, Langley said, referencing the poisoned food and staged prison fight. She's too cautious. Don't give her a chance, Pierce snapped. Her execution's set for 3 days. I've arranged everything. She's a threat who doesn't deserve another day. Langley frowned. Procedures existed, but Pierce's veiled threat was clear. I've handled the prison officials, Pierce added. It's approved. Langley swallowed hard. Pierce always a step ahead. And Bennett, he asked. Pierce chuckled darkly. He won't have time. We just need to be faster. Langley's mind raced. If Elena died before Bennett acted, they might win. But if Bennett stopped the execution, worried, Pierce mocked. I'll handle it, Langley said, clenching his fist. Pierce hung up, leaving no room for reply. Langley exhaled, unease gnawing at him. Elena had survived 2 attempts, and Bennett wouldn't stop easily. Leaving the office, He headed to a secure room to control information flow, ensuring no loose ends. But he didn't see Lucas and Max closing in. The dog's instincts locked on the truth, unstoppable. In her cramped cell, Elena sat, knees drawn up, eyes on the cold wall. Whispers among guards revealed her execution was moved up, a setup to bury the truth. She inhaled sharply, mind racing. No miracle would save her. Lucas might be investigating, but if she didn't act, she'd be dead before he succeeded. Max's image, barking furiously as she was taken from court, fueled her resolve. She couldn't abandon him. She had to escape to see him again. For days, she'd studied the guards' routes, camera blind spots, every gap. Escaping maximum security required chaos. Approaching a group of inmates, she targeted a tattooed brute spoiling for a fight. "Get out of the way," he growled. "Heard you only threaten the weak," she taunted calmly. He swung. She dodged, enraging him. Chaos erupted. Guards shouted. Alarms blared. Cell doors opened for intervention. Elena sprinted, weaving through brawling inmates, nearing the hallway to the exit. A guard lunged. She struck his throat, snatched his badge, and burst through the emergency door, racing to the parking lot. Headlights swept, sirens wailed. Spotting an open police car, she kicked the officer's knee, leapt in, and floored it, bullets ringing behind as she crashed the gates. Lucas's phone buzzed. An informant reported Elena's escape. Heart pounding, he knew she'd fled to survive, but without a plan, she'd be caught or killed. "We have to go," he told Max, who tensed as if sensing the stakes. Elena sped through dark suburbs, police lights closing in her rear view. Calculating escapes, she was blinded by headlights. An SUV blocked the road. Braking hard, tires screeching, she gripped her gun, ready for a fight. A bark echoed. She turned, heart leaping. Lucas and Max stood at the street's end, Max barking, eyes bright, tail flicking, body taut. Amid the chaos, Max's loyalty shone. Emotion surged. She wanted to run to them, to hold Max, to hear Lucas's reassurance. But police cars surrounded her, headlights glaring, voices booming. "Elena Ramsey, drop your weapon." Frozen, hopelessness loomed. Max strained against Lucas's grip, desperate to reach her. Their eyes met briefly, Lucas's promising he wouldn't abandon her. She understood escape was impossible now. Stepping back, she nodded subtly at Lucas. "Go." He clenched his fist, reading her plea to protect himself and Max. But her gaze held a vow. This wasn't over. Raising her hands, she fixed on Max as officers cuffed her, his barks growing frantic. Lucas restrained him, Max's whines piercing as Elena was taken again. Closing her eyes, she steeled herself. Lucas and Max wouldn't forsake her. She'd fight on. Elena expected prison, but the police car veered to a quiet, dark road. No warrant read, no arrest logged. Unease grew. They didn't plan to jail her. Beyond city limits, the car stopped at an eerie industrial area, dim lamps casting shadows. An officer yanked her out. She scanned for escape. Rusted containers, old buildings, a place for vanishings. A voice from the shadows said, "Take her inside." Dominic Pierce. Pushed into a warehouse, a single bulb lit a concrete floor and iron table where Pierce stood, suited, smiling faintly. "Ramsey," he said, amused. Impressive, escaping prison and surviving recapture. Elena's cold eyes met his, silent. He didn't need her response, only control. Stepping closer, he leaned on the table. "What do you know?" he asked, voice calm but menacing. She smirked. "Don't know what you mean." Pierce chuckled, eyes hard. "I admire strong wills, but everyone has limits." He signaled. Men forced her into a chair, tying her hands until her skin burned. You've dug where you shouldn't, he said, circling her. Bennett and your dog, too. I know you're aware of their findings. Silent, Elena's stomach churned. They knew Lucas was close, and Max was at risk. Pierce tilted his head, reading her. Thinking of them? I am too. Unlike you, I know how to end this. Her eyes narrowed, dread rising. This is how it ends, he said. Tell me everything, or tomorrow's your last day. She knew he could execute her instantly. Meeting his gaze, she said, Kill me, but you can't kill the truth. Pierce studied her, then laughed. Think justice wins, Ramsey? Leaning close, he whispered, Justice is what the strong create. Unfazed, she knew Max's loyalty would guide Lucas to the truth. Imprison me, she said, but you can't stop what's coming. Pierce sneered. We'll see. He gestured. A guard bagged her head, plunging her into darkness. In their investigation hub, Lucas and Noah pored over Shadow Fong's network, but Lucas fixated on his phone, awaiting updates. Elena's capture wasn't logged as a prison return, raising alarms. Noah checked the inmate system. No trace of her. They're not taking her back, Lucas said, standing, eyes dark. They want her dead. Noah nodded grimly. Nothing stopping them. Lucas dialed Owen Mitchell, a trusted officer. Elena's not at the prison, he said. Where is she? Owen hesitated. Can't say much on the phone, but I have what you need. Lucas pressed, say it. Owen whispered, I planted a tracker on Elena, just in case. I have coordinates, but we must move fast. Pierce's people could find out. Lucas grabbed his coat. Send them now. Owen sighed. Be careful. They won't hesitate to kill. Coordinates arrived. Noah mapped them. An abandoned industrial area 30 miles out, not a police facility. We go now, Lucas said. Noah followed, but Max stood ready, eyes glowing. Lucas knelt. I know you want to go, but it's dangerous. Max stared, unyielding. Noah crossed his arms. Think you can leave him? He knows what's at stake. Lucas weighed Max's condition. His prior injury stable, but not healed. Yet Max's instincts had driven every breakthrough, from the mask fragment to the glove. His loyalty wasn't just instinct, it was a vow. Lucas nodded. All right, let's go. Max leapt into the car, eyes fierce, knowing Elena needed him. They raced toward the coordinates, the car heavy with tension. Max sat alert, sensing Lucas's strain. Arriving at the industrial area, the warehouse loomed amid containers, the GPS pinpointing Elena inside. Surprisingly, only 2 guards stood outside, rifles slack, chatting casually. Noah whispered, Are they careless? Lucas scanned the area. Pierce is either overconfident or didn't expect us. He nodded at Max, who slunk forward like a shadow. Lucas drew his knife, Noah backing him with a gun. Max surged, a silent bolt, tackling a guard before he could react. Max had surged forward, his sharp fangs sinking into the first guard's arm, dislodging the gun to the ground with a clatter. The guard had no time to scream before Lucas reached him, landing a swift, forceful blow to the back of his neck, rendering him unconscious. The second guard spun, jaw dropping in shock, but Noah moved faster, striking his throat precisely. The guard choked, soundless, and before he could flee, Lucas gripped his neck, squeezing until the man collapsed. Within seconds, both lay still, no shots, no cries. Lucas knelt, softly patting Max's head, murmuring, Well done, old friend. Max exhaled deeply, silent, his gaze locked on the warehouse door, sensing the mission's continuation. Lucas nodded at Noah. Let's go. They dragged the guards into the shadows, stripped their weapons, and neared the massive door, the area unnervingly quiet. Inside, Elena remained bound to a chair, blood seeping from wounds, her eyes fierce with resolve. Unknowing that her allies were near, she faced Dominic Pierce, gun to her head, unaware his reign was crumbling. The warehouse reeked of dampness and stale machine oil, dim bulbs flickering, casting warped shadows. Elena was tied to a battered wooden chair, wrists raw and swollen from tight ropes, blood dripping from a forehead gash. Yet her stare held no fear. Pierce stood before her, pistol aimed at her skull, finger grazing the trigger, his icy eyes showing no weariness despite hours of questioning. He'd tried threats, blows, and mind games, but Elena refused to divulge her knowledge. Lifting her head, body weak but eyes blazing, she offered a faint, bruised smile. Pierce's face contorted. "Find something funny, Ramsey," he snarled, impatience thick. Elena tilted her head, voice rough but firm. "Just curious how long you'll last after killing me." Pierce raised an eyebrow, laughing mockingly. "You don't get it, do you?" He leaned in, eyes locked. "You're abandoned. No one's searching for you." Elena met his gaze, pausing, then exhaled slowly, shaking her head. "You're mistaken. One will never abandon me." Pierce scoffed, turning away. "Bennett? He can't help you. If he tries, he'll be dead before he finds you." Elena stayed silent, hope burning within. She trusted Lucas's persistence, but Max, her steadfast canine, gave her certainty. Though absent, she knew he was out there, striving to reach her. Pierce's patience eroded. He'd expected her to crack, but her unyielding stare diminished him, a man clinging to fading control. "You know, Ramsey," he said, smirking, "I respect your defiance." His grin sharpened as he pressed the gun closer. "But this is over." As his finger tightened, a shadow darted like a bolt. A scream pierced the silence as Max lunged, teeth sinking into Pierce's gun arm. Pierce howled, grip loosening, a shot firing wide, missing Elena, who flinched, still bound. Pierce thrashed to free himself, but Max clung, teeth deep, blood staining his sleeve. With a vicious kick, Pierce sent Max crashing across the room, hitting the floor, rolling, and stopping, growling defiantly, struggling to stand. Lucas and Noah acted. Lucas leapt from cover, gun raised, shouting, "Drop it!" Pierce, bloodied but stubborn, staggered, diving for the fallen gun. Despite his injuries, Max charged again, slamming Pierce's arm, sending the gun skidding across the concrete. Pierce cursed, scrambling for it, but Max pounced, teeth in his shoulder, pinning him down. Pierce screamed, flailing, but Max held firm, paws anchoring him. As Pierce grabbed for a knife, Lucas rushed in, kicking his hand, the blade flying. Lucas smashed his guns, but against Pierce's temple. Pierce's eyes widened, and he crumpled, defeated. Max relaxed his grip, growling, poised to act if Pierce moved. Outside, police and FBI sirens wailed, lights flooding the warehouse. Agents stormed in, weapons ready, sealing escape routes. Pierce's fate was sealed. Blood oozed from his shoulder as he stumbled back, defeat dawning. Noah kicked the door open, signaling agents to advance. Orders demanded Pierce surrender weapons. An officer tackled him, cuffing his wrists. Pierce's frantic eyes locked on Elena, as if memorizing her before being dragged away. Elena sat, battered but resolute. As Lucas freed her, she met Pierce's gaze one last time, voice raw but piercing. "I knew you'd answer for this, Pierce." He clenched his jaw, silent, knowing his end. Elena dismissed him. As the last rope fell, her weakened body slumped, Lucas catching her. A soft groan stopped her. Turning, her breath hitched. Max lay nearby, wounds matting his fur, loyal eyes fixed on her. She'd feared never seeing him again, yet there he was. "Max," she whispered faintly. He tried lifting his head, eyes checking her safety. then dragged closer, resting his head in her lap. His warmth broke her. Tears fell onto his fur as she stroked him, trembling. "Old friend, you did so well." Max's tail wagged faintly, understanding, steadfast despite their ordeal. Lucas watched, seeing more than a reunion, a bond of unshakable loyalty. Noah checked Max's wounds. "He's lost blood," he said. "Vet now." Lucas nodded, eyes on Elena's trembling hands, grasping her realization of Max's constancy. Elena steadied, stroking Max as always after his duties. "You saved me," she whispered. "You always find me first." Max nudged her hand, exhaling. Lucas touched her shoulder. "We'll get him safe." Elena nodded, lingering with Max, needing his presence after captivity's torment. His touch reaffirmed her core loyalty. Noah signaled for Max's ambulance. Lucas helped Elena stand, her eyes on her dog. "Let's go, old friend," she whispered. Max, aided by Lucas, took pained steps, eyes on Elena, mission fulfilled. Outside, police lights blazed, all witnessing Elena and Max's bond, a story of loyalty beyond rescue. Post-arrest, the FBI targeted Shadow Fong, raiding bases and fronts, dissecting records, unearthing names. Agents pursued every lead, exposing culprits. In her hospital bed, bandaged, Elena felt no warmth from the sun, focused on the FBI's raid against justice manipulators. Shadow Fong's bases fell, funds frozen, corrupt officers arrested. The task force's relentless arrests grew. Elena saw a rare chance for justice to triumph. She doubted this day, but freedom mattered most. An agent brought a file, smiling. "Miss Ramsey, you're exonerated. Pierce's arrest and raid evidence prove you were framed. You're free." Joy eluded Elena. The fight left her hollow, uncertain. "Then, where's Max?" The agent paused. "Taken to a vet post-rescue. Badly injured, but past critical, monitored." Elena shed her blanket, ignoring bruises, heading to Max. At the treatment room, she gripped the doorframe, seeing Max bandaged, blood on his fur, wounds from his fight for her. Her throat tightened. He'd been hurt before, but never so frail, yet his eyes lived. Her steps echoed as she neared. Max's ears twitched, eyes opening, loyal gaze meeting hers. He groaned, trying to lift his head. Elena knelt, hand trembling on his fur. "Hey, boy," she whispered, voice heavy. Max licked her hand, confirming her safety, his warmth erasing the world. Lucas watched, knowing she saw a comrade, not just a dog. "Heard what he did?" Lucas asked. Elena nodded, eyes on Max. "He saved me, but not the details." "Lucas, Saturday, after your capture, Max stayed with me, not eating, watching the door for you. When we learned Shadow Fong still hunted you, Max sensed watchers." Elena's eyes showed concern. "Ambushed?" Lucas nodded. "Chased, but Max tackled an assassin, saving me, at a cost." He pointed to Max's bandages. Elena stroked Max. "You saved me again," she said. "Always." Lucas added, voice grim. "At Pierce's warehouse, a cop's tracker led us, but Max spotted guards, got us in silently." Elena, surprised, said, "Injured he did that?" Lucas smiled. "Never stopped for you." Elena rested her forehead on Max's head. "You've suffered too much," she whispered. Max groaned, understanding. Lucas stood, hand on her shoulder. "He'll heal, so will you." Shadow Fong lingers. Elena's fist clenched. "They took too much. No more chances." Lucas nodded. "We start here, no counterattacks." Elena looked at Max, their reunion fueling her fight. Memories surged. Max as a young, stubborn K9, becoming family. At their first crime scene, he adapted fast. During a drug bust, his growl redirected the team, saving them from a knife-wielding foe he downed. Training was tough. Runs, drills, Max's refusal to jump obstacles until Elena's patience won. His leap a trust milestone. Her hand on Max's fur grounded her. She'd never forget his ambush save, halting her as bullets flew. Their bond was beyond handler-dog, pure loyalty. In prison, tortured, Max anchored her. "Sorry for worrying you," she whispered, knowing he saw no fault in her. His whine, head in her palm, soothed her. Lucas watched, awed by Max's untrainable loyalty. Elena lingered, Max's breaths assuring her she wasn't alone. She'd lost much, but Max urged her to fight. For justice, for the helpless. Stroking him, she whispered, "They won't escape, old friend." All Shadow Fong names surfaced, save Victor Langley, a connected officer shielding the group, erasing threats. His home raid found nothing, computers destroyed, documents ash, accounts empty. Footage showed a stranger, a biopolymer mask hiding him, the tool that framed Elena. The FBI hunted, but he left no trace. Lucas knew he had plans. Max, though injured, stayed alert. One morning, as Elena read reports, Max barked at the window. Lucas saw him circle, sniffing. Elena realized scent, unmaskable, could find Langley. Max, sniffing his belongings, darted to an alley, Elena following. Max tracked a fresh scent, stopping at a food stall, targeting a man in a brown coat, avoiding notice. Elena shouted, "Stop," drawing her gun. He froze, then ran. Max blocked. Max charged, chaos erupting. Elena fired, grazing his coat. Langley slammed an iron door shut, locking Elena out. "He escaped," she muttered, but vowed he wouldn't forever. At FBI headquarters, they strategized. Langley evaded traditional methods. At the airport, a decoy triggered an alert, but Max barked at another passenger, a masked Langley. Max tackled him, ripping off the biopolymer mask, exposing him. A bullet felled him, Lucas pinning him. Elena held the mask, its irony sharp. Max, tail wagging, completed his mission. Pierce and Langley's system enabled Shadow Fong's assassinations and cover-ups, framing innocence. Targeting Elena, a principled threat, they used a mask to frame her for Brooks's murder. Max's loyalty, finding the mask, the warehouse, unmasking Langley, undid them. Langley, felled by a dog, saw Elena's cold gaze as his end. Pierce, arrested, lost power. Elena, with Max, watched his fall, Shadow Fong crumbling. Exonerated, Elena stood with Max, justice served. In court, Pierce's confession and evidence crushed Shadow Fong. Langley faced life, his shadow rule ended. Outside, Elena, scarred but free, stood with Lucas. "We did it," he said. Max, scarred, stayed close, her protector. Shadow Fong's remnants fell, Elena and Lucas honored with medals of courage, promoted to lead investigative units. Max, a hero, was medaled, Elena placing it as he nuzzled her, applause roaring. Under a clear sky, Max's proud eyes shone. Elena, with Lucas and Max, vowed to fight on, their story a testament to loyalty's power to expose darkness and restore light.